Welcome to American Forked Podcast. This is the best podcast you'll ever listen to. Just like a fork in the road, we as friends have diverged to our separate destinations across the world, across the state of Utah, across Utah County, really. And we have done our separate things and gone our separate ways, but we still are friends, and we still like to get together and talk. So that's what we're doing on the show. American Fork Podcast, where we talk about all things stuff and interject our commentary. And we still like each other.
Even though our individual opinions are idiotic.
And don't matter, right?
To the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're all different.
And yet we still keep coming back.
Yeah.
For more and more.
Well,
we could just be like...
For some reason, we've done this 35 times, and... even though we may be sick of it, we're still doing it.
And we haven't been like, F these high school friends yet.
I'm moving to Sandy. No, I'm moving to Taylorsville.
Yeah.
Even though we've all done that at some point.
Abusive relationship, we keep coming back to be beaten.
Yep.
That's true. Well, so my name's Jake. I'm hosting. To my left, I have an iPad, and we call the iPad Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
Good. I am an iPad.
Sound test?
Beep boop 01001.
It's an iPad of darkness.
Jeff's driving.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah. You shouldn't. Podcasting and driving is one of those things they tell you not to do.
No, I think you're thinking of texting and driving. I haven't heard anything about podcasting and driving. I think that's fine.
Until I hear something.
I don't think there's ever been an accident reported about somebody podcasting while driving. So you're safe. You're good.
And if I do get in an accident, that's going to be some awesome audio for this episode.
Absolutely. Especially if you're like barely conscious. To the iPad's left is Tyler. Tyler, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you coming.
Special guest star, Tyler.
Yeah, we love having Tyler here. Tyler brought the sushi.
Yes. Eat some.
And I brought the Built bars. We mentioned Built Bar on the show last time, and since they're from American Fork, I thought we'd all try them out.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
They're good stuff.
It's really good.
Chocolatey bar that is built. Yo.
Yeah.
Yo.
They have 4 grams of sugar and 17 grams of protein, and they're super good. They're like the peak refuel of protein bars.
That's what I always hear.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
And then we got Phil.
What's up? This is Phil. Can I tell you what happened to me this morning?
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. I have a quick story before you get going. So I hike up Rock Canyon a couple times a week, which is right behind the temple in Provo. I don't know if you guys have ever been up there.
Which Provo temple?
The older, rounder 70s looking one.
The
I've
wedding
gone up
cake
there a
one?
couple times.
Yeah, the wedding cake one. So I don't know if you remember, when you walk up the canyon a little bit, up on the left, there's like a huge cliff/ledge, like Lion King-esque, like projecting ledge thing. So I'm hiking up and I'm about to the point where I'm right in front of that thing.
You see Simba.
And I hear this like crash of thunder sound. And I turn and look, and there's a parachute that had just opened up. Somebody was base jumping off of that thing. And I don't know how tall it is, but it can't be like more than 800 feet or something.
It's not tall at all.
Yeah, it was crazy. And he like floated down to the parking lot, but it gets worse or better, I should say.
Whichever one you want to.
So
if you like watching train wrecks.
So I do my hike up to where I usually go, and then I jog back down. And as I'm jogging down in the same spot, this same sound, and I look up there, and this guy's parachute had just opened again, or a new guy, I assume, unless he climbed up there in the time it took me to hike. And he like floated around and turned around and like flew right back into the cliffside.
Oh my gosh.
And like his parachute like clumped all over him, and he's just like sitting there. And I watched for like a minute to see if I saw any movement or anything, and then I'm finally like, hey, are you okay up there? And then I hear this, yeah, we're good. And I'm like, okay. So I start walking down to the car, and then I'm thinking to myself, did somebody else, like, because there's tons of hikers up there. Yeah. Like tons of rock climbers. Did somebody else yell back? But so later this evening, I Googled it to see if, like,
just see if someone died on a
parachuter, but I didn't see anything. So I guess I didn't almost kill someone by not helping them or something. So
why would you base jump off that? It's not, I don't think it's very tall at all.
It's crazy. Like the parachutes are opening like 2/3 of the way down. Like they've got at max like 100, 200 feet before they're down. So
people are stupid.
Yeah.
I know what happened.
Tell me.
These two people that were base jumping off there were students in a chemistry class at Lehigh High School, and they realized this week that their parents are just dumb and they're going to go do what they want.
Maybe that was it.
They did it because their parents told them that they can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts. Anyway, sorry to start you off with my mouth.
That's a great story.
My mouth blabbing already, but
I would love to see that.
Is that legal? It can't be legal.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
I think there are laws against base jumping, right? Maybe off buildings in cities. I don't know.
I mean, what can they do to you? I guess they could come say, "Don't jump off of that," but unless it's like posted, no base jumping.
Yeah, if you can rappel off of it, why couldn't you base jump?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, that's scary.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'll tell you if I see him again.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good story.
It just happened this morning, so I was like riled up about it.
Yeah, I know you were excited because like the first thing you said when I got here was like, "Hey, I've got a story."
Yeah.
So,
and I thought all my podcast listeners had to immediately, like, I don't have social media to just say like, blah, this is what I think today. So
this is your social media.
This is it. This is how I blah all over the place. You word
vomit.
Yep.
Good story.
Thanks.
Maybe you could share some pictures on the website. Oh wait, you didn't take any pictures.
No, I didn't. I didn't have my phone with me. Usually don't hike with my phone because I run back down and I don't want like the.
That just seems dangerous to not take your phone.
Well, there are like so many people on the trail. If something happens to me, 2 minutes and someone will walk by with a phone. So.
Or respond back to your yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. When I yelled, it was like, hello, hello, hello. Like for miles. I was like, whoa, you could yell a long way in here. So anyway, hope you're all right, parachuter man that crashed into the rock and just sat there for what seemed like forever, but I didn't stay very long to.
Did he hit the cliff and in a spot that you could like go to?
So, the cliff comes down and then it's like really steep rock. Mm-hmm. So he crashed into the like steep rock and the parachute clumped on top of him. And as of the time
he suffocated to death.
Yeah. As of the time I left, I didn't see any movement, but I heard, no, we're good, man. Thanks. So I think that was him. I hope.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So,
but there had to be at least two of them because they're
wait for the news tomorrow morning.
Parachuting.
Man found dead in Mango.
I sure hope not, because then I just admitted to like neglecting to help.
You tried.
I did. You tried. I would have hiked right because I was like right under there. It would have been a steep hike, but I could have got to him in like 5 minutes. I bet. But
you weren't the good Samaritan.
No. I mean, he said I was good, so I ain't hiking up there.
Right.
He was fine.
Yeah.
He went back home to his Matt bandaged his knee and he was fine.
Yeah. Went skateboarding that afternoon and smoked
jumped off the cliff
later
again.
that night.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to us, for putting us in your ears. By way of housekeeping, traditionally we want to let you know we have a website, AmericanForked.com, and we can, if you'd like to donate some funds to help make the podcast help it move forward, you can go to patreon.com/AmericanForked. Also, we post on Instagram and Facebook regularly. We're there, and also on Twitter at American Forked. Or you can call our voicemail line or text it at 385-DAD-0-MUG.
And leave an amazing voicemail.
Yeah.
Tell us your parachute story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you know someone that you'd like to hear from on the show, we are happy to have them. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a special guest from a company that started here in Utah Valley. There's a guy from American Fork that we know. More information to come.
Ooh.
But we're looking forward to that. And so we've got a lot of stuff happening in the news. First, the most local thing that I have that came up in my mind was that in Pleasant Grove, we had a boil water order issued from the city of Pleasant Grove. All of northeastern Pleasant Grove, I guess, has E. coli in the water. So
I saw that. So it does affect you, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the border of, they have a map. Say, if you live in this area, you need to boil your water. And it's like across the street from our house is outside the zone, but our house is in it. So I ran to Walmart right away to get some bottled water, and I beat the rush of individuals also doing the same thing.
Oh, really?
So we're boiling our water or drinking bottled water.
For how long?
Well, they've been treating it. They've putting chlorine in it and stuff, doing whatever they need to do to get rid of it. And they're going to do so. They do monthly tests. The city does their water's tested monthly, and it was tested on Monday, and then Wednesday the results came back positive for E. coli, and so that's when they issued the order yesterday. So I assume they may be doing weekly tests now. I don't know how often, but
Right.
But once it tests negative, they'll give us the green light, probably after the system's flushed out,
That's interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like Flint, Michigan up in here. Pleasant Grove got to
Pleasant
boil
Grove.
their own water.
Yeah.
What's next?
We got, so our house, E. coli at our house, and then our cabin in Midway tested really, really high for arsenic because there's well water. So we have to have a water filter in order to drink the water there. So
Just one of
get
those
me fresh water.
Just one of those 3-stage.
Yeah,
filters.
reverse osmosis filters.
Yeah, that's not too
We'll
bad.
put that in our kitchen, and we don't have one yet.
We had to
We
use
take
those
out
on our
bottled water.
mission so that we didn't die.
Yeah, that's what we had
How
included.
does water get E. coli in it? Are like a bunch of uncooked chickens walking into these water tanks, or like what's happening?
I think that it would have to be like stagnant water. I don't know.
It's a bacteria that would grow. I'm sure that there was something in one of the reservoirs.
Dead deer,
Yeah,
Dead chickens.
dead chickens.
I don't know. They didn't say, but
Just an interesting thing. I wonder the same thing about arsenic. Is there just like thousands of apple seeds or whatever arsenic comes from in your water?
Yep, it's Appleseed well. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Somebody needs to manage their orchard better.
Well,
On a similar note, did you guys hear that Stansbury City ran out of water?
I thought it was Schofield.
Oh, Schofield. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, Schofield. They're out of drinking water, so they're getting, I guess, water shipped in.
Well, like they don't have water. Isn't Schofield a big freaking lake?
Yeah, it's a reservoir.
So how'd they run out of water?
Maybe it's dried out.
The whole reservoir?
No, Schofield City.
Isn't it
is out
by
of water.
Schofield though? Or is it not by Schofield?
It is by the reservoir, but that's not where they get their water from, apparently.
Oh, we'll just go right over and scoop it on out.
They get
What's
it
the
from
problem?
Walmart, and Walmart ran out.
They're like, oh, you can't use this water to drink. We need to put more boats in it.
I'm still on the idea that they put a couple dead chickens in some reservoir out there that gave the entire Pleasant Grove City E.
Uncooked
coli.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncooked ones.
You were right, Jeff. That's the smartest idea you've had all night.
Oh, I do know that that's how you can catch crawdads in like the reservoirs. Put uncooked chicken on a string, dip it in there, and then those crawdads are so dumb they grab onto it and you just pull them out of the water.
Really?
Bacon works great too.
Yeah.
Uncooked bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hooks on the hook better.
Oh,
You just take a strip of bacon, or twist it around the line, dip it in the water, and within 20 seconds you'll have 2 or 3
they just
crawdads
latch
hanging.
onto it and you
Yeah.
just pull them out. I've
Yeah,
never
they don't
caught a
let go.
crawdad without
That's
just
fun.
like reaching in and grabbing it. I didn't know you could catch them in another way.
I don't think I've ever done that since junior high.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Probably
tied a
with you guys.
chicken leg, like a raw chicken leg, to a string and dipped it in. And when it came out, you pulled it out and just put the stupid crawdads in a Rubbermaid.
Those idiots.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
So that's how you get E. coli in the water.
So yeah, Schofield, the town of Schofield's drinking water is now dry due to overuse and low spring flows. The agency said in a report in Utah's overall drought situation released Wednesday, the Division of Drinking Water has issued an emergency permit for the town to haul water for residents as a short-term solution, and will work with the town on long-term water management strategies, including infrastructure needs like new well meters. That what makes me wonder, like, we've had a lot of rainfall this in Utah Valley over the last month, way more so than normal, but obviously we're still in a drought. Just wondering if, do we know in Utah if we have the infrastructure for extra rainfall, or how much of it goes to waste? Well,
I would assume that we got a bunch, but probably not enough to resaturate the groundwater very much. Because if the ground is so dry, I don't know. We ought to get a geologist on here to tell us all the.
Kasia.
Yeah, Kasia will do it.
Kasia.
Right, Kasia?
Shout out to Kasia.
What up, Kasia?
I will say that I heard there was reports of rainfall from 1 to 5 inches in certain parts of Utah, and that's insane because usually we get 12 inches a year.
So
a lot of rain.
We left a wheelbarrow, right side up at our property, and in 1 week it filled up about 8 inches.
Oh, wow.
And that's down by, I'm not telling you where it is, people, but at some place in Utah, a barrel filled up.
It's in Lehigh. We'll just say
inches.
it's in Lehigh.
Yeah, it is in Lehigh.
It's just east of Moab.
It's right by the high school.
Yeah. By the chemistry teacher's class.
Well, don't drink E. coli.
Yeah, boil your water. Be safe.
That's a safe call. If your water tastes like E. coli, just don't drink it. Right?
Yeah. Good advice.
Does it have a taste?
No, Jake, that's the joke.
Oh, okay. Because mine tastes normal. Because I drank it. And then I realized there's a boil order. Anyway, so there's another Utah news article. There was a DNA test that a family took, and turns out that the father of that family was not the biological father of their 14-year-old son, according to reports. So it was pretty devastating. They took the test a year and a half ago, I think, and they waited quite a while to tell their son, because obviously that's kind of a devastating thing to find out that you're not the biological father of your child. So 14 years ago,
mom stepped out.
I was going to say, so the mom
milkman went to the gym. No,
yeah.
14 years ago, she at University of Utah Hospital did IVF treatments.
What's that?
It's
in vitro fertilization.
In vitro fertilization, where they essentially fertilize the woman's egg with the male's sperm, but it was not her husband's sperm. It was the sperm of another man.
Oh, they mixed up the sperm?
So it was messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it was someone else's sperm. So
are they suing the company?
No, it was actually kind of somewhat ended off positive. I mean, obviously it's devastating and they're not happy about the whole situation, but so the family took the not the Ancestry one, but the other one. 23andMe test. Yeah. And all it showed is that the 14-year-old son, was not biologically related to his father. And so that was pretty devastating. And they ended up taking the Ancestry test because they wanted to find out who the father was. And it turns out they found out that it was a man from Colorado who was his wife. I forgot how it all worked out, but it was crazy. His wife was at the same hospital on that same day that the IVF treatment was done. And anyway, there was a mix up of the sperm and she got the wrong one. So I wonder if someone else got his.
That's
and
what
they
they
don't
all
know.
say.
That's some good drama.
Yeah, it was IVF, honey. That's what it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
So,
way crazy.
Do you know what like sparked the whole thing? Where just like, you don't look like my son, so let's get tested.
No, what they said, the couple said that they did the test just for fun. Just like most people do, they get those tests online just because they want to see where their bloodlines come from and all that stuff.
You did that, didn't you?
I did.
Did you get your results?
I haven't got my results back yet. So,
yeah, it was like a week ago. Right?
You need to open them on the air live for all these strangers to hear.
Okay.
To hear that you're
your most deep
Polynesian?
Personal heritage right here on
some
Prime
sort
Time.
of Latin person,
Scottish
Scottish
Latin.
Scotland. It's like,
oh my gosh,
it's like 50 things, but at the bottom, definitely not Native American.
not Navajo.
0.00% Navajo.
What would you think if that were the case? Like, would you be like, oh, I'm not Navajo, or would you be like, this test is obviously wrong?
I don't know. Like, I really can't imagine it being not that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would be,
but I imagine I'm not like full like Navajo. I imagine that there's some other part of it. But we'll find out.
I can answer that question in the reverse. Like if mine came back and said you were Navajo, my reaction would be, this test is wrong.
I got Tyler's results.
This is incorrect.
Yeah, you could just totally get the wrong results, apparently.
Yeah,
if doctors are mixing up semen all over the place.
You got the wrong kid 14 years later.
Right.
So
it'd be funny if that was actually not true, that he was actually the biological father.
And that was the mistake, was the 23andMe test.
Or what would be even funnier if it was that they got the sperm right, but they mixed the babies up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that funny? No.
That's funny.
Okay.
That's funny, Jeff. It's a good joke.
I can tell by how much you guys are laughing.
I laughed inside my head.
So
I was so confused why that box over there is talking again.
The iPad.
But I remembered it was you.
Yeah, you plugged me in 01001110.
So what's the conclusion then? Is it just cool? We found. Did they get in contact with the new dad?
Yeah, they on the news article that they were on ABC, and they had the newscaster in the living room of the couple, and then on the TV, like on a Zoom meeting, they had the biological father and his wife were on the
interesting
together.
Do you think they're gonna like try to grow a relationship out of it, or?
Yeah, I guess they've been in communications since then. Which
I would sue the hospital or sue the.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they kind of left it on a positive note, but I don't know legally what avenues they're taking. But
it's so weird because I don't know. Maybe this is really insensitive, or like.
I'll tell you, it is.
Okay,
well, that's a good bet. So.
I'm just like, what I was getting at is like, what makes a father or a mother a mother? Like, if this guy went in with the intention of impregnating his wife, and then a doctor mixes the thing up. Yes, he's now the biological father of this other person, but I don't know. It's just a little bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I guess he is, obviously, like the DNA test would show that. But there was like no human intention on either side to do that.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah, and down the road, is he going to owe like child support or something?
Yeah, maybe, obviously not. I would imagine when you go it wasn't a sperm bank. It's just the doctor. The doctor's messed up. So they would be liable for any of that if that were the case. But I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it'd
be crazy if they found out that a doctor was being malicious and did this like dozens of times.
As a joke.
We trained him wrong as a joke.
Yeah, so he could just laugh about it later in life.
It's like roulette. He just kind of chooses which one. He's like, yeah, let's go with that one.
Yeah.
Room B17. You go there.
I'm excited for this next topic that I see on your computer.
So I have an image here that I'm only going to show the guys here because this is a podcast. I assume you know what this is.
It's
Jeff.
a naked swimming baby.
Is Jeff there? He's paused, it looks like.
Yeah, it's Nirvana.
Oh. Nirvana, Nevermind, the cover album for probably one of the most famous cover albums from our time growing up. It's a photograph of a naked baby swimming, kind of like he's reaching for a dollar bill in the water. It's a super famous cover art, but that is obviously no longer a baby. It is a human being that has grown up. The man's name is Spencer Eldon.
It is now a human.
He's 30 years old, and he's suing Nirvana which is the band, for that album. He's suing the band Nirvana for child pornography.
So he was cool with it at one point.
Yeah, he was cool with it, but now he's suing. Obviously, Kurt Cobain is dead, but there are other members of the band that are still alive, and he's suing them for
including Dave Grohl.
Yeah, that's true.
Dave Grohl was the drummer in Nirvana. Now he is the frontman for the Foo Fighters.
I wonder what a settlement in this case would look like if it's just like, we'll change the album.
I wonder his motivation behind it. I mean, was he just like, okay, maybe I can get some money now?
Or is he genuinely like, people look at my naked body every day because everyone still listens to Nirvana on an album every day?
I'm really surprised that cover even got published.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You thought it was inappropriate?
I don't find it inappropriate, but I can see why people would.
Yeah.
You know?
Nowadays, nope.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
That would not fly today at all.
I feel like the early 90s, though, was like the inappropriate time. Like if you were cool, you were inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
True.
That was like the thing. I don't know. And now,
Well, obviously, because that, made it, and no one, I don't remember ever hearing anyone ever complain about the album then, but now it's a big deal.
It's a naked baby. And apparently, so when I heard about this thing, they said that non-sexualized images of infants are not considered child pornography per the U.S. law. So even currently today, lawfully, it wouldn't be that case. Now, he may make a case that like, every woman I date, has seen me naked, blah, blah, blah. And it affects my life. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I love these cases because I can hear about them and not pay attention, and then 3 years later find out that this person won or they lost, and I'm like, and I didn't have to sit in court all those years,
which you would love to do.
I would actually love that too, but
you would love to see how this goes out in court. Yeah. But yeah, lawsuit against Nirvana, probably the last thing they ever thought about would happen.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that like I could write a piece of music and it could make some money, and then my great grandchildren who own the rights could be sued in 2045,
right?
Or whenever 2145, some great date in the future.
Is there a statute of limitations on child pornography?
No, I don't know. Well, like I said, it's not technically child pornography, so I don't know how they're going to swing that. But
yeah, that's his claim.
Yeah,
I feel like all those babies that were in that she was a super popular photographer putting babies in sunflower outfits. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the girl on The Office really liked them.
Yeah, and then,
playing saxophone and playing cards and stuff.
Sue her for child pornography.
Oh yeah, all those babies shirtless, just playing saxophones.
So this next story, I tried to figure out how I could share it without just reading the entire article, because everything about it is super entertaining. This would be a world news item, and the headline, this is from people.com, so it's 100% legitimate. But the headline is Belgian woman banned from zoo after 4-year affair with a chimpanzee.
Oh, why?
Tyler's face right now.
Why?
I love that Jake is carrying on the tradition of messed up
I
animals.
was
Messed
going
up
to say,
animals.
why are we talking about messed up animal stories?
We have to have animal stories. We're going to change the name of the podcast to
Messed
Messed
up
Up Animal Story Podcast.
Messing with animals.
So,
Oh my gosh.
so Addie Timmermans is banned from coming in contact with a chimpanzee at the Antwerp Zoo in Belgium after developing a close bond with the primate over several years. A Belgian zoo banned a local woman from visiting the park's chimpanzee exhibit due to her affair with one of the primates. A chimpanzee named Cheetah arrived at the Antwerp Zoo 30 years ago. Over the past 4 years, Addie Timmermans has visited the primate every week, developing a close bond with the animal. I love that animal, and he loves me. I haven't got anything else. Why do they want to take that away? Timmermans said, per Newsweek. We're having an affair, I'll just say.
Oh my God.
According to the outlet, the affair Timmermans mentioned involved the primate and woman waving and blowing kisses to each other from opposite sides of the glass surrounding the ape's enclosure.
They're just blowing kisses.
The zoo recently expressed concern about the lengthy relationship, claiming it's negatively impacting Cheetah's rapport with the zoo's other chimpanzees.
Oh, well, that's nothing.
When
They're banning her because she waved and
Because she's just
blew
visiting
kisses.
every week.
she's visiting every week, but the chimpanzee's not socializing with the other chimps at the zoo and being distracting to the other guests at the zoo. So it says when Cheetah is constantly busy with visitors, the monkeys ignore him and don't consider him part of the group, even though that is important. He then sits on his own outside of visiting hours, the zoo said. An animal that is too focused on people is less respected by its peers. We want Cheetah to be a chimpanzee as much as possible, the spokesperson for the facility added.
You know, I actually get that because don't chimps like tear each other's faces off and like eat their eyes and
humans'
stuff?
faces, yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. They want the chimp to not be slaughtered for blowing kisses at that woman.
He'll probably
So-
be murdered by the other chimps.
Yeah. So I get
But
it.
here's what I don't get though. Why do chicks always go for like the guy that's incarcerated? You know what I mean? Like he's in jail. Like, why don't you just hook up with me or whatever?
Date only during visiting hours.
Yeah, like, that's weird.
Yeah. True that.
So she's banned, not allowed to go back.
Yeah, she can't go to the zoo
And
anymore.
she's upset.
So she needs to go find another monkey boyfriend to blow kisses to through the
Okay.
glass.
So she's over at the penitentiary now, looking for a man.
I feel like all they would need to do is be like, here, watch this chimp video where these chimps rip this other chimp apart. You want that to happen to your boyfriend?
Right.
If not,
But
stay
Phil,
away.
they always have an excuse like, "Oh, he's not like that."
They won't hurt him in there. He's a gang captain.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just wonder how did it start? She's like, oh, he's kind of cute. Starts blowing him kisses and
Because she called it an affair, right?
Yeah.
She said, we're having an affair.
yeah, which I mean,
Who is this
maybe in
woman?
Belgium an
She's
affair
probably a cat lady.
is here in America an affair is a romantic relationship
Yeah.
with another person. Maybe it's not that in Belgium. Maybe that just means
Maybe there's just a deep connection.
yeah.
What do we know about this woman? How old is she?
It was an affair.
What does she do?
Doesn't say.
We don't care anymore.
She's dead to us.
Yeah. Once she's banned from the zoo, it's like, what's she ever
Right.
going to do interesting again in her
Right.
life?
You can't go to the zoo. What else can you do in your life?
Well,
So
people are dumb.
So my main story that I wanted to talk about today, I was honestly 2 days ago, I was prepared to come and talk about the situation in Afghanistan and how from my standpoint, I hear a lot of people on the right who are criticizing the Biden administration for their failed efforts to get people out of Afghanistan. And from my perspective, it seemed like there wasn't a whole lot to worry about. Obviously, the situation is terrible, but it seemed like the Biden administration was really doing all they could, doing a good job, getting a whole lot of people out of the country. And then just yesterday, my mind completely flipped, and there's been a lot of information that's come out that that kind of swayed my opinion significantly. Yesterday, was it this morning or yesterday morning, they had the bombings.
Yeah, I guess they had a couple bombs blow, killed 12 U.S. military
12
members.
12 U.S. military members have died. And, based on the information that I've heard from people on the ground, so outside of the Kabul airport, outside of Afghanistan, there are 3 surrounding countries that have agreed to be essentially like way stations for people coming out of Afghanistan as kind of a go-between location before they end up going to wherever their final destination is. And these 3 countries are bringing in a whole lot of people, and a lot of nonprofit organizations, the Nazarene Fund being one of them, is focused on getting people out of Kabul. And according to them, our Department of Defense and the State Department are completely obliterating and bottlenecking the entire process, which is leading to a lot of American people dying. There are as many as between 10,000 to 30,000 American citizens still in Afghanistan, and our State Department is not letting them come out of Afghanistan.
So they're like not letting them in the airport, or?
Yeah. So imagine you take an elementary school, and the administration at the school tells all the teachers to leave their classrooms, and they're just gone. What's going to happen?
All the teachers to leave?
Yeah, the teachers are gone. Just a bunch of students in their classrooms.
Yeah, so chaos.
It's going to be chaotic.
Unruly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the United States government did it. They decided that they would take the military out of Afghanistan and then just leave it up to whoever to get the American citizens out. And a lot of people are saying it should have been the other way around. Obviously, we have a August 31st deadline to get Americans out of Afghanistan, and that was kind of an agreement between the world, the American government, and the Taliban, and they botched it.
Yeah, one of the things I've been thinking, and I'm not like a geopolitical strategist or veteran or anything like that, but you would think that, first of all, the U.S. government has a large list, presumably with the embassy, of who's in the country, you know, and everything like that. And we obviously had soldiers stationed all over, but that's the other thing. Like, up until recently, did we actually have military all over the country, or were we pretty much pulled back to Kabul before that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I was just going to say, if we were spread around, you would think that we would do both simultaneously. We'd be like, hey, we're pulling the military out of this town, and as we do that, everyone needs to go with them.
Right.
Like, so if you're not registered with the embassy, you need to find your nearest soldier and be like, blah, 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 I'm American. I need to pull back with you, so that they tell people when they're going or whatever, so they could still do it like in the middle of the night, but bring all the right people with them. I don't know. And I'm saying that like it's so easy, but obviously there are a lot of difficult variables over there.
So the criticism that the Biden what Biden's get is just they pulled out the military first without, that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So back to my school, pulling teachers out analogy. The U.S. military was, it's full of professionals who are trained in logistical management of people in a war zone, and you take out those professionals, and now it's just up to the State Department of the United States is trying to manage it. Some of them are on the ground, some of them are in the White House, or in Washington D.C. or whatever, and it's just like, from my understanding, like just a logistical nightmare trying to manage all of this. Like they're turning down people with U.S. passports and only accepting people with British passports. And they're telling people who are approaching the gate at the airport on foot to go back and get a car so that they can come through the gate because it's a road gate. And, people are just like piled up at the gate. And so they had this someone who claimed to be a member, or ISIS took responsibility of this. They had a bombing at the airport, and then one across the river at a hotel, and that's where these U.S. military soldiers were killed. And it's just been like crazy situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's been crazy. I don't know what.
So
did you guys what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so you were favorable of what they were doing before, but then as of today or yesterday, it just kind of flipped.
Yeah, it was like, I just kept thinking like, well, obviously it's a bad situation and they've got thousands of people out, but from words of the people, mouths of the people on the ground, it's just chaos. The whole thing is chaos. The military, because the military's there, it's not a well organized situation.
Yeah, I feel like we had control of that country. At least we were occupying it and didn't have like a lot of firefighting going on in the last 10 years, I guess. At least we don't hear about it. And if we had control, we should have maintained control until we left. I'm kind of the same way. When the media was like, oh my gosh, Biden, what an idiot, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how else are you going to get out of there? But now I'm like, yeah, they obviously did this really bad. And it is like, I can't remember who was saying this, but maybe they're trying to make it look bad so that we're just like, yeah, we need to be out of there. But I don't know. I hope we get everyone out without too many more casualties. But I hate to say they're probably going to be more before it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got even like the Taliban, ISIS, ISIL, all of the terrorist groups, they don't like each other. And I think that we should have done it right, got as many American citizens out like over the last months since we had this agreement with the Taliban, and then work on getting the military equipment out, because there were like 200 and some odd helicopters that the Taliban has commandeered, U.S. helicopters, equipment, tanks, firearms, all of this stuff that's now in the hands of the Taliban.
Yeah.
And the first thing that we did was pull out the U.S. troops. I just think that that's crazy.
Well, and it does, if you look at it, I guess it does make a little sense, because they were expecting that the Afghan government would last at least a couple months, And so the people that are in the country, Americans, journalists, Afghanis, are probably like, yeah, we hope this thing works out. We're going to stick around. Even though they told them to get out, they're like, well, the Afghan government is in charge. We're hopeful things will go well.
Right.
But I think it just like how immediately they just like dropped. And I don't know if that has anything to do with money. Like, because Biden was saying we were paying their military. And if once we pulled out, we were like, hey, you're on your own now. We're not paying you anymore. I wonder if that's really what happened. Like, and I don't know. I'd have to look that up before I start running my mouth about it. But that would make total sense to me if I were this soldier that's like, getting paid to guard this post. And they're like, oh, you might not have a paycheck next week, but fight for your country. and you're like, oh, I don't even like
you
this
later.
country. I like my village up in the mountain. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, a lot will come out over the following months, but from what I've heard thus far, the Afghani government was essentially like bribed the Afghan government, and the Afghan government completely shafted their military, didn't give them the support that they needed. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, I don't know. It's
crazy.
just a really messy situation.
It's crazy over there. What are they going to do, Tyler?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I?
So, do you guys watch the president talk today?
Yeah, I probably caught the last 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, the thing where I felt this almost like melancholy is when he's like, the people who did this, we're going to hunt you down and get you.
Right.
And I just felt like almost sick. It's like, yeah, we're mad. We want to hunt you down and get you. But what does that even mean? Are we going to now fight an idea again?
Right.
Like,
Are we going to go to war with Afghanistan?
yeah, or
That
to
sounds
war
like old
with
news.
ISIS, which is like this scattered, idea. They might as well be like anonymous in the United States. Like, who are they? Where are they? We don't know. Are we going to take over the country again? Are we going to
Cue an ISIS?
Are we going to start shooting, blowing up blocks with drones? City blocks and things like. It just seems like no matter what, there's no good answer, and that was like, that's what kind of got to me. Is like, yeah, well, we're mad, and we can come get you. We probably should avenge these soldiers, but what does that mean? I don't know. It kind of makes me feel like let's just get out. Like, it's going to be messy. Get everyone out, and
Yeah,
let's
I
have
mean,
it be the end.
yeah, let's at least get all the American citizens out, and people who really need to flee because they're terrified that they're going to be killed because they're women or they're gay or anything that the Taliban has basically said, we hate you or kill you because of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
We just need to do it the military needs to be there on the ground to manage that.
Yeah, I would say so. But that's the crazy thing too. Do we send more military back at this point and potentially get stuck in a longer engagement to save people who, I don't know. I'm not saying we should abandon them, but they were told to get out, and they're saying, oh, they can't. There's roadblocks and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Like Macedonia is a country in the Middle East that they agreed to take a lot of these citizens who needed to get out. And the State Department called the prime minister or whatever of Macedonia and said, don't take the refugees. Like the U.S., the State Department is trying to manage the whole situation, and it's just roadblocking the whole endeavor.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like
You're trying to control something that you just don't have.
Yeah.
You don't have. A, you don't have control of, and
Right.
B, you don't have the resources to manage it. So.
as soon as the Taliban rolled in, it was over. I mean, so get out while you can. I mean, the crazy thing is they're saying that ISIS-K or whatever is claiming responsibility for this bombing, and apparently they are like mortal enemies of the Taliban. Mm-hmm. So this could be a precursor to like a crazy civil war over there. It just sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Do we know how many American citizens are still?
I think Biden was saying he thinks there's 1,500 left in the country. I guess they've gotten a lot out. I want to say now these are numbers that President Biden said, so I don't know if they're like the wrong order of magnitude. But I want to say he said 15,000 were there, and they've got it down to 1,500. But I didn't actually Google that to see what numbers there were.
Yeah, as of a couple days ago, it was estimated to be 10 to 30,000. U.S. citizens.
Yesterday?
know.
Well, I
2
think
days ago.
so. I think what he was saying is there are thousands more that are like Afghan friendlies or whatever you want to call them. But I'm pretty sure he said 1,500 U.S. citizens left. And he did say today, he's like, look, are we going to get everyone out? Probably not. Or he might have even said definitely not. And I think that's a reasonable outlook at this point. I don't know that,
Right.
you know, you kind of have to weigh. You can say, oh, we're not going to leave anyone behind, but at what cost? Like, are we going to kill another 1,500 soldiers to save another 800 Americans?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I'll tell you that.
Oh, go ahead.
There's one thing that kind of irritated me more than anything, and that was listening to Biden's speech today. Had the tone of like someone from the quorum of the 70 talking. Like, it sounded like he was announcing to like his old folks' home that like telling his life story. The tone was like super sad.
Wait,
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, it should be sad, but like I wanted to fall asleep. I wasn't getting an update from like a war scene. I was getting like nappy time, bedtime stories or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if you watched it, but he definitely seemed like he was going to go to sleep. I mean, he looked really tired. And if that's the case, I mean, you know how he was even in the debates and stuff, but if what he's saying is true and he's getting round-the-clock military updates right now.
Probably is actually super
probably
tired.
is like exhausted. So that made sense. Yeah, he kind of.
Sorry, just during his speech, it did not scream like world leader to me. It was more like HOA leader.
Yeah.
Or quorum of the 70.
Yeah, I mean the dude is old, and I've long said that I think he's got some issues going on, like that come along with getting old, particularly with numbers. It seems like almost always. In fact, there's even been documented cases where he'll look down at a card and read a number, and it's like he'll say 300 million when it was 3 million written on the card, like, or somebody in his staff or whatever is constantly playing jokes on him, but
oh, that's hilarious.
But and I mean, I don't know if that's like sad or worrisome or maybe just fine. Like maybe the president has so many people around him doing things, like it doesn't matter if he's that with it, you know, like ultimately he's the guy that's got to pull the trigger, but there's like 8 guys saying
don't pull the trigger,
don't pull it, or do it, or here's this, or here's this. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I'm comparing it to is the energy of Trump and the energy of Obama. Like, that's the difference I'm saying. It's not even necessarily, it's just the energy that he puts out. It's very docile and calming rather than like, you know, encouraging and whatever, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, he ended that.
The last 2 presidents have been pretty energetic guys.
He ended that press conference. He walked away after he said, it's a war that's gone on too long and we needed to get out. And he turned his back and left.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch to the very end, but
I didn't watch it to the end either.
yeah.
I fell asleep, but then I woke up for that part.
Were you watching or just listening to it?
No, I was watching it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not joking. I really did fall asleep, but I was laying on the couch too. So
Yeah.
that's not, you know.
And you do fall asleep on a dime, so it's like, oh, there's a cloud. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. And like I said before, I don't know if we have anyone to blame but ourselves. Like, we can say, oh, this president botched this, but we've known for nearly 20 years that we shouldn't have even been there in the first place. Or there is the argument that if we were going to go there, we should have went to war. You know, we should have went to war to win a war, not to occupy or peacekeep or be policemen, but go fight whoever we're going to fight and get it over with.
Not to go train the military.
I think that drones unmanned aircraft were invented for a reason, and to fight in Afghanistan is one of those reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like drones are one of those things we shouldn't use, or very rarely, or probably overused. I mean, they think that the overwhelming majority of deaths over there have been civilian deaths. And I think that's in large part from using drones. I mean, you just can't, it's not the precision. You don't put soldiers in harm's way when you use them, but you also can't see who you're blowing up with any degree of accuracy, other than I know this guy is in this Jeep by this building. I don't know how many kids are in the building or whatever, but we need to blow that guy up, and so bang. And I always picture Buster from Arrested Development driving his like video game thing, and he falls, and he like falls over, and they're like medic, in like the cubicles in there, like the other soldiers come over to like get him up on his seat.
When he was recruited into the military.
Yeah, he was recruited as because he was so good at playing the claw video or the claw game.
Yeah.
That he became a natural at like shooting drone things or something.
He's my favorite character in that show.
Yeah. Except for in the later seasons, they made him like way weird and creepy. So here's a question about Afghanistan. Do you guys think it's going to get better or worse from here? Like, is this going to end up in like a horrible debacle where we do send people back, but getting like are we going to lose another 15,000 soldiers in this just getting out of there, or is it going to fizzle out?
I think we'll at least lose hundreds of more U.S. citizens, which is, to me, the worst, absolute worst part of it.
Yeah.
Innocent American lives who want to get out, but they can't because it's managed poorly.
I have a hard time feeling bad for them for some reason. Like Afghanistan is a war zone. That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah,
So
if you're not there in the military or assisting the military, why the heck are you there?
Yeah, and I don't know. People need jobs and stuff. And one thing we don't talk about, like last week I mentioned a bunch of military deaths, and I forgot to bring the numbers, but because remember we said it was like 2,000 deaths in Afghanistan, but a number that was really interesting too is that's not counting contractor deaths, which is way higher apparently. I want to say it was like 10 or 15,000. I can't remember, but it was a lot of people. And so I wonder how much we've like kind of covered up, like, oh, this many of soldiers have died in Afghanistan, when way more contractors, and as I understand it, contractors are essentially retired military that we're hiring to go back there, which is military. Like, it's just another way of putting it, but that means that as many as, way more soldiers, American soldiers, I think we should call them that, or have died over there. And so are a large amount of those 1,500 left over, are they contractors? And if so, is that not the same as active U.S. military? I don't know. I don't know how that all works or how we look at that. But
yeah, it's still hot off the press, and the situation is still bad. How bad it'll get, I don't know.
Yeah, I hope it gets better. Come on, Biden.
Come on, Biden.
You got to stay awake until September 11th, and then you can retire and let Kamala take over. She'll laugh her way through the rest of your term, and
no, it just doesn't seem like there's any good solution being presented.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't get worse, but I don't think it's going to end well either. So,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how I've kept this to myself for so long, but here it goes. I swear that the war on Afghanistan and like the Iraq war and all that stuff is just like wag the dog, totally made up, like just a reason to have people over there and spend millions of dollars, billions and trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to make up, like, oh, the Taliban's, like, I don't know, they have all these different groups that they name, and like, they're very elusive, and they're always changing, and they're not really any organization, but we're the greatest military on the planet, so how are they, like, handing us our ass? Like, there's so many things that don't add up to me, over there that I feel like it's just, you know what I mean when I say wag the dog? There's like
The tail's wagging the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, the tail wags the dog. So it's like the media and the government is setting it up to be like, oh, this is a reason for us to be over here. But really, there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. And we've heard about that a lot, that the whole thing was like the industrial military complex. Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Kind of pushing that thing forward. But I don't know, like Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld have been out of office a long time. Obama was in there. Trump was in there. Trump said before he got into office that he didn't want to be in there, and kind of got this drawdown going, but in 4 years didn't draw down and be out of there.
Yeah.
And that's a good...
Biden did it quick.
Yeah.
But I just think it was done in the wrong order.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask, if Trump were still in office, do you think it would have happened differently?
Or at all? I don't know.
Probably not at all.
Not at all? You think it would be like, oh, we're working on it? But
if I remember correctly, under the Trump administration, Trump had negotiated, which I hate the concept of the U.S. military negotiating with a terrorist organization, but had negotiated with the Taliban to be out by, I think it was May, the end of May. And then when Biden got into office, he was able to push it back to August 31st. And so we've had this amount of time. We've known for long enough that we're going to get out of Afghanistan, but all of a sudden it just went to crap.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change would have been I wouldn't have fallen asleep during Trump's speech today. That's about it.
Yeah, otherwise you think it would all went down the same way?
I think it's going to be a cluster over there no matter what.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
I kind of feel the same way.
I agree.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I have a story about kittens, Jake, because this is really depressing.
I was just going to say, let's get this party lit.
Jeff, do you have any story about kittens or anything?
No, I don't.
Dang it. Well, I did want to end on a high note. And obviously we live in a beautiful country, beautiful state, Utah being pretty amazing when it comes to natural monuments and places to see. And so I wanted to know from you guys some of your favorite things to do in Utah. For me, I love being in the canyon, especially American Fork and Provo Canyons. They're two of my favorite places.
Even still, with all
the base jumpers.
Even still, with all the people
and the base jumping.
No, I don't like the traffic in the canyons, but I do like being. I just like being in the canyon.
So, is there an equivalent to AF Canyon that's like further out of town, but not so many people that you know of?
Not since 2020. There's no such thing as like a not busy place to go outdoors.
Yeah.
You went to one a couple weeks ago, Jeff.
Did I?
Yeah.
Where?
You went to Monticello or something?
Oh, yeah, but there's still people down there visiting like me.
It's not a canyon, but there's still people.
I feel like Skyline Drive, if you guys have ever gone down there, up there, I should say, has a lot of traffic going in and out. So I feel like Skyline Drive, there's a lot of traffic going up in there, but there's a lot of space up there. So like if you looking for a spot to camp, you're much more likely to find it down there. But the canyons are getting nuts.
Yeah,
you knew you were far away when you're like, I could kill somebody and get away with it. Like I used to be able to have that feeling in American Fork Canyon. I just don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Is that your barometer that you use?
That's the gauge.
Nobody would hear what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how easy could I just dispose of a body?
And just like sing show tunes out loud while you're digging.
Yeah.
And nobody would even hear you.
I haven't been up the canyon in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the idea of driving up American Fork Canyon and just all the cars and everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah, once
Not
you
wanting
get past Mutual Dell or even past the Tibble Fork split, and you're going like up Alpine towards, the Alpine Loop, it's not like every time I go up, it's not that busy. But the drive from American Fork Canyon up through what's that area where you can go into Midway on the other side of Timpanogos?
Crystal Springs and
Yeah.
Oh,
that drive is just incredible. Like
Cascade Springs.
Cascade Springs, yeah.
Yeah.
That drive is like my favorite view of all time is the backside of Timpanogos from the top of the canyon just before Timpanuki campground. It's just amazing.
yeah, it's awesome up there.
I love it.
And I do kind of like that there's just this tiny road that there's nowhere to pull off or anything. So even though there is a lot of traffic, it's like it's not like Yellowstone where people are like parked along the side of the road or like lined up to see an animal. There's nowhere to pull off. So it's like you just have to enjoy the view and there's nobody off in obstructing your view. That's a cool thing. So my favorite spot in Utah is the San Rafael Swell, which is so if you go down through Price to get to I-70 and go a little bit west, I think it's Route 95 or Highway 95 or whatever that goes from I-70 all the way down to Hanksville, which is a nothing town in the middle of nowhere, and then down to like Bullfrog, Lake Powell. Might be like a 50, 60-mile stretch. That whole stretch is just awesome. Like climbing on rocks, slot canyons, a lot of like petroglyphs and Native American stuff down in there. Really fun. That's my jam right there. Goblin Valley is right there in the middle of that.
Goblin Valley's awesome.
If you haven't been to Goblin Valley with your kids, run around in the dark playing capture the flag and snapping your ankle, then
you got to add that in.
Yeah, add that one in there. But yeah, it's great. And my favorite spot is going west on I-70 if you're coming down through Price, you'll turn west on I-70, and right before you get to the turn to go south on the other highway, you kind of come through this like V in the rock, and as you come through it, it's just like the most picturesque scenic view. And I tell my kids it's called the Dragon's Back because like all the mountains are like formed in this like dragon shaped like fold. It's the swell that they call it, the geographic swell of rock formations. It's great. And probably because I went there a lot as a kid, so it's pretty nostalgic. But
is that where that helicopter crew spotted the obelisk, whatever, in the ground? The metal.
No, that's further south.
Yeah,
It's like past Moab.
Yeah, I think it was out in Moab area, which is also I love that area too. Arches and Canyonlands, and more recently I've gone all the way down through Blanding and down that way. But yeah, I think so far San Rafael Swell. That's where I like to go.
That's your jam.
That's my jam, bro. Yeah.
Tyler, what's your favorite thing to do in Utah?
Leave it.
Leave Utah.
No.
Welcome to Arizona. Oh, finally.
I know, right? Welcome to... No. Lately, I've just been doing a bunch of drives. I drove up through Heber City, up to Park City, and then you kind of back down into Salt Lake Valley and things like that. So, but no. Honestly, yeah. I mean, everything he's mentioned is pretty much kind of what Utah is. So, I should ski more, is what I ought to do. I feel like it's a big Utah thing that people take not advantage of or granted for. So,
you've been skiing though, right?
Yeah,
So
I know how to ski.
You've done the ski thing
And how to snowboard, but that's it, really.
Yeah, I've still never been skiing. Born and raised here, but
Really?
never gone.
Sorry.
No. Yeah. It's expensive to go, right?
It is
Like,
expensive.
you got to pay for the lift and the skis and the ride and all that stuff. And I did go cross country skiing in Scouts and was pretty sore and frostbitten.
At Schofield.
Yeah. Frostbitten after that one. So I've kind of like not been too thrilled about skiing. I feel like the skis they gave us were from like 1920 because they had like bowling shoes that like clipped in that were like not insulated at all. So you're just like freezing to death as you did that. But
Yeah, there was a lot of sunburn happening on that trip.
yeah, there was some. That was a good time. That was before Jeff or Tyler. You guys weren't even born yet.
For what?
I don't think that's how it works, Phil.
Oh,
Jeff, what about you?
unless we're in the Matrix.
I think my favorite place in Utah is probably the high Uintas, like the East Fork of the Bear. I was in the Boy Scouts before you guys were born. I worked there. Okay, you were born. But before I was really good friends with the guys, I worked at the Boy Scouts, and I actually lived up there at a Boy Scout camp for 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. And it was amazing. It was just, I loved it so much. I could have lived there for the rest of my life. And I haven't. But yeah, just thick pine trees, and the Bear River is really cool. Lots of animals up there, and just quiet. Just, I don't know. I love it.
Cool.
There's
I think
really
it's
not like a
around
bad spot in
8,000
Utah.
feet, something like that. 7,000. It's pretty high up there.
Oh, there are bad spots in Utah. Pretty like the whole northwest corner is like nothing.
It's because it's touching Nevada.
Like ugly, like Wyoming, maybe even worse than Wyoming. Ugly, nothing. And there are like no roads either. Like,
I don't think I've ever been up to the
yeah, because there's
northwest
no
corner.
roads there. Like to get into the middle of it, I think you have to drive up into Idaho
And
and
then
then
drive.
come back around.
Huh.
Kind of like getting to certain parts of the Uintas are that way, that you have to go up to Evanston to get back down.
Yeah.
But they're just like nothing up there. It's just,
I'm driving up there this coming week. I have to go to Spokane for work.
oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm going to drive up to Idaho Falls and make a day trip out of it. So
Well, you'll still stay on I-15 then.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you won't be that far west. I think is it Box Elder County? Is that what's the northwest? I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Interesting.
That
I've
whole-
seen land out there for sale, like 400 or 500 acres for like $6,000.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
Nothing you can do out there.
Yeah, when I was looking at land, it was like that. It was like 30 acres for like
$80.
$2,500. But then you're like looking at the pictures and you're like, this is just like flat rock. Like you can't dig in it. You can't do anything with it. There's no water. It's just like wasteland, straight up wasteland.
It's like what's his name? Oh, on Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh gosh, I can't think of it.
Davy
Jack
Jones.
Sparrow.
Davy's locker.
Yeah.
Davy's locker. Oh, Davy
Davy
Jones's
Jones.
locker.
Yeah, Davy Jones. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So that was actually the Salt Flats, wasn't it?
Yeah, where they filmed that.
Yeah.
And that's a cool spot. That's what's so cool about Utah is you can go from salt flats to sand dunes to red rock cliffs and slot canyons to alpine mountains to lakes. Like we have everything except the ocean, really.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The only thing Utah's missing is the beach.
beach or like straight up jungle or rainforest. We don't have any tropical anything, which is cool sometimes, but.
Yeah, I mean, we do have that one restaurant in the gateway, the Jordan Landing up here, the Rainforest Cafe.
Rainforest
Oh,
Cafe.
yeah.
There's a rainforest cafe there.
I don't know. They have cliff jumpers though.
Oh, it was the Mayan.
You're talking, yeah.
The Mayan,
yeah.
but it's not longer there. No longer there.
Okay, well, never mind. I guess it went.
It's the Larry H. Miller Megaplex now.
Oh, that's not there anymore.
But-
The restaurant where you dive or people dive.
Yeah.
That's a Rainforest
Yeah.
Cafe, right?
No, it's
Maybe
the
it is
Mayan.
now.
too.
It was the Mayan. I don't know.
They had one at Disneyland or downtown Disney. Anyways.
Well, maybe also this is the other reason I'm rooting for global warming, because if the beachfront comes up to Utah, like, we're set.
Then we
got
will have
everything.
everything.
Right. If we could just, the earth could flood up to like cover the Box Elder County
Yeah.
so that Salt Lake is a beach, then we'd be good.
Yeah. We got everything, literally.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I like it.
Utah is a very well-rounded state.
Let's warm this place up.
Let's buy a bunch of property out in Box Elder County, and it'll be beachfront. That'll be a time to turn over to our kids.
Or it'll just be straight up ocean. We could just make a little mound right now, and then we'll like own our own islands one day.
Just go out, ship
Oh
a bunch
my
of rocks
gosh.
out there,
Yeah,
make a mountain.
Then we could sell it to China.
yeah. Here you go, China. You want some prime U.S. real estate? You don't own any already.
Right. They don't have any in Utah. Well, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate
Cool podcast.
your input. Just want everybody to know that we appreciate you listening and keep joining us to help solve world problems. Stay safe, be happy, and in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Oh my God. Oh God.
That might be it.
Amen.
Or